Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Scumdogs channel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and I have another great show planned for us. We're going to be looking at UFO crash sites today. But while we wait for people to gather in the chat, let me go off and show some artwork off from my own upcoming graphic novel, Scumdogs. But while we wait for people to gather in the chat, let me go off and show some artwork. Here we go. Not too bad. Let's go over here. Here's my extreme 90s cover. Looks pretty good for a book, huh? I'm going to go back here for a moment. Yeah. As I said, this is the cover I did. They basically go back to the comic books of the 90s. Now, Scumdogs, the name of my graphic novel, is a parody book. It parodies anything I like to make fun of. I'm making fun of various cartoons. So, in the Scumdogs, the title characters, in the future, there's such a thing known as the Scumdog Sports. It's basically played with superhuman monsters. Well, superhuman athletes, but they're basically just monsters. They're called Scumdogs because they're scum and dogs for, transforming themselves into superhuman monsters. So they're exactly the best guys around. They're pro athletes who are just basically monsters and stuff like that. So they're not nice guys. Well, not really, especially now that they're not human. Now, this cover has my two main characters on it, Death Mug and Buick Starpoon. Death Mug is the purple guy with the middle skull mask, and Buick Starpoon is the guy with the pink pompadour hair he's fighting. Now, Death Mug is a parody of various villains from 80s cartoons. Let's see. Like Cobra Commander and Serpentor from G.I. Joe, like Cobra Commander's got a metal mask, and like Serpentor's got gold on him. And he's purple like the Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Well, his enemy, Buick Starpoon, is basically a parody of Duke from G.I. Joe and stuff like one of the G.I. Joes. But he's also a parody of the Space Captain Hero kind of character. You know, like James T. Kirk or Buck Rogers or Buzz Lightyear. You get the idea. Notice the uniform he's wearing? By the way, like a GI Joe, like GI Joe's, he has a specialty, and Buick Starpoon's specialty is that he's a captain. And notice the uniform he's wearing. Everyone that's wearing a similar uniform to him is all part of his team in the Space Forces. The guy over here with the mohawk, his name is Roadhog. His specialty is that he's a member of the Army. While this bald guy with a gun over here. That is Beach Pounder. His specialty is that he is a Marine, just a Marine. Well, the guy back there in the vehicle, the guy in the red uniform firing his weapons, his specialty is that he's a heavy vehicle specialist, a tanker. Now, you can see other people on this cover. It looks pretty good. This cover is one of 3 different variant covers you'll be able to back on my own Indiegogo when it goes live. By the way, folks, hit that like button for me, as well as please go share this video on social media. Here is Girl Friday. She's another member of the Wild Rangers. That's the name of the team Buick Starpoon leads in the Space Forces. Girl Friday is the second in command to Buick Starpoon, and she hates him and the rest of his team because she was only put on the Wild Rangers by her superiors in the Space Forces to basically babysit them. Because while the Wild Rangers are heroes who go around saving lives and saving planets, they're just highly destructive idiots. So their idea of saving a planet from the Scumdogs is basically to burn the planet and, make sure the Scumdogs can't take it. And yeah, you get the idea. They're idiots if that's actually saving anything. And Girl Friday hates them all because she feels like her job in the military is over. She's basically been relegated to basically being a babysitter. So she hates them. All right, now we're going to look at Death Mug's henchmen, because in all 80s cartoons, the main villain, he'd always have underlings, henchmen who do his bidding, and they'd be total idiots. These are Death Mug's idiots. The blue guy with the top hat is Murder Mouth, and the pink guy down here is Sloppy. There are a couple of idiots who can't possibly do anything right. They just screw up everything they do, and they really don't give a damn either. They just like having fun. It's these guys. And here we have Hair Mill Doctor. Hair Mill Doctor is a parody of Dr. Mindbender from G.I. Joe. a mad scientist, but my mad scientist here is also crossed over with a hair metal musician because I thought that'd be awesome to have as a villain, a hair metal musician, mad scientist. He thinks of all the schemes and all the machines the scumdogs use to try and take over the world. He does it while rocking out. That's hair metal doctor. And here we have Miss Breasty Melons. Miss Breasty Melons is a parody of the Baroness from G.I. Joe. But unlike the Baroness, she's a party girl who just wants to have fun. She decided to become a villain just because she thought it'd be a good time. Now, the Hair Metal Doctor pinup and the Miss Breasty Melons pinup here will be included with other pinups in my graphic novel when you go back it on Indiegogo. Just go to Indiegogo, find the pre-launch page of my Indiegogo, go and sign up for it. The first 100 backers get a free poster of Buick Starpoon. It's still in the pre-launch phase, by the way, folks. It's not a live campaign yet, but hell, the more people that sign up for it, the closer it gets to being that way. All right. Looks pretty good. Let's go back here. Let's go look at some aliens and stuff like that. Let's look at some alien stories. All right, folks. We had some fun there. We can also look at some new Indiegogos as well. See if there's anything up here. All right. Let's see. Ultra Star Operation Nova 5 has made over $12,000. Graveyard Shift Volume 3 exclusive variants has made 72,603. That's good right there. I can't wait for it. Let's see. Looks pretty good. Let's go take a look at Graveyard Shift Volume 3. Right? But let me exit out of these things right here so they're not in the way. All right, Graveyard Shift Volume 3. The next chapter in Graveyard Shift as the team returns to Earth only to find a werewolf infestation has terrorized the world. In their absence, surrounded by enemies everywhere, they join forces with a Dimension Hopper Brahm and his commando unit of superpowered monsters. Not bad. You can back this book for $25. All the books for $25. But your best bet here is the basic, including you can get the collected edition, Volume 1 and 2 collected edition for $25. That's good. But your best bet is the blood bags. Here's one blood bag, which is $75. Get Volume 3 and supplemental trading card plus visions and the Volume 3 for $75. Got all those books. But there are other ones as well. You can get Volume 3 and supplemental plus the collected edition, all for $75. But you can also get the blood bag plus collected, where you get the blood bag plus the collected edition for $100. Get Volume 3 and supplemental, visions, and the collected edition for $100. That's a good price. It's very good. Now, all of it looks pretty good. Let's go look at this trailer.
Graveyard Shift returns with co-creator Mark Pickney and Jawbreakers artist Aaron O'Fetchy to bring you more villains from the darkest corner of the universe. A master plan unfolds. New heroes, surrounded by enemies everywhere at Graveyard Shift. Upon returning to Earth, you must join forces with the Dimension Hopper Brahm and his commando unit of superpowered monster to fight off a werewolf infestation that has begun terrorizing the world in your absence. 50 pages of full-color, pulse-pounding action. Also, we're offering a new supplemental book, including a story by myself and new art talent Rob Willis, presenting the debut of Lunar, the last of whose people, Genoa, comes to Earth to stop the genocide. Also featuring an additional story by Rob Arnold with art by Joe Ball.
All right, looks pretty good, folks. That's Graveyard Shift Volume 3. Go get it on Indiegogo. Now, all of it looks pretty good. There's Sunsworn. There's Rainbow the Brute, which is made $409,214. Not doing too bad here. Ooh, looks like there's some new. Let's go look at this update here. April 10th. Well, 400,000. Here's the reward. We are way past 400,000 now. Rainbow backers. Looks like we're finally getting an update. Hey, this is awesome and fantastic. This campaign is picking up some incredible speed now, perhaps because of the fulfillment of the Cyberfrog Warts and All campaign. I'm amazed. Thank you. Now that we're at 400,000, I'm adding a disgusting, bloody, severed unicorn head pencil topper to the Executive Beef Case Edition. Also, we're going to add a new trading card to everyone's order. Meanwhile, All Caps Comics is displaying our product line on our eBay store, so if you would like one of our beautiful hoodies or our beanies, they're available now. Everyone loves them. Thank you all. Thank you all. Yeah, looks good, huh, folks? Ooh. Now we're getting some more perks here, so that's pretty good. 409,214. That's pretty good. Let's see. You can back Rainbow the Brute for $25, but you can also back 2 other books as well. You can get My Girthy Stallion spin-off book for $25, as well as the Cool Story Bro Toxic Fairy Tales for Masculine Men for $25 as well. Rainbow the Brute is a hard-fighting, hard-drinking fairy barbarian who battles the Thundercloud Men and maintains order under the rainbow. It isn't easy with unicorn pests, thumb-sucking apes, and onion grove children requiring constant vigilance, but Rainbow's worst day ever happens when, after a series of honeysuckle shots, he quarrels with someone, and, well, they go and steal his sword from him. Not only that, but Paula Pocket, a former girlfriend whom he hasn't seen in 15 years, finds him to let him know that he has a son and the boy needs a father. Mount up on Rainbow's Girthy Stallion Nephilim for the adventure of a lifetime to retrieve his sword and perhaps along the way teach a young Cheryl Pocket what it means to be a man. This book is 48 pages long and looks awesome. You have a choice of several different covers. All of them look good. There's this. Yeah, not bad. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about Cool Story Bro Toxic Fairy Tales for Masculine Men. I'd like to make a storybook, a beautiful leather-bound volume of future classics featuring high-tea parodies of fairy tales reworked and illustrated with a toxically masculine agenda. I'm going to do my spin Snow White. John Malling would like to do Little Red Riding Hood, and I'll invite more of the best creators to join us in filling this book with kick-ass fun. This will be the perfect gift for the dude in your life. But there's also My Girthy Stallion is a spin-off book in which the baddest and beefiest stallions, Ghost Scout, Salax, Blood Rain, Stormhoof, and of course Rainbow's own steed and best pal Nephilim saddle up and ride out to kick ass. But there's also the Beef Case Edition. Well, this is a subscription to the campaign is the ultimate way to enjoy Rainbow the Brute. If you back at this level, you receive one of every perk, plus some exclusives only available at this tier until we fulfill. When I say beef case, I should say lunchbox. This will be packaging a beautiful, oversized lunchbox. But with awesome Rainbow the Brute art all over it. The perfect way to store your Rainbow the Brute perks. You'll get one copy of the exclusive Strawberry Love, one copy of the Colorado variant, one copy of the exclusive Strawberry Love variant edition, one copy of the regular edition Rainbow the Brute, one copy of the Touring Forever variant, one copy of My Girthy Stallion, one copy of Cool Story Bro, Toxic Fairy Tales for Masculine Men, one of every additional regular perk and achievement that this campaign sees from here. You won't miss any of the Ashcan's card stickers. So you get the idea. This campaign is looking good, and it's made a buttload of money. Now, we have been at this a while. Let me go over here. Have you guys hit that like button for me? Ooh, it looks like you have. Now, we've been at this a while, so I think maybe we'll go look at some UFOs. We could look at the UFO Roswell incident story, or 20th century panic attack, the result of the Roswell crash. Let's see. Project Scipio, the consequences of the 1947 Roswell crash. Let's look at this story. Should I be looking at this? Maybe I shouldn't be looking at that. Maybe I should go do this. Now, we have written on several occasions about black budgets and secret space missions, and with a good reason. One particular of these alleged missions, however, stands out among the many projects. Project Scipio, or of the many Project Scipio, according to the claims, would say a dozen human beings take part in the intergalactic exchange program. According to the claims, would say a dozen human beings take part in an intergalactic exchange program, one where they would find themselves in another galaxy in the name of research and relations. Sounds interesting, huh, folks? What's more, this project dates to the beginning of the modern age of UFO incidents and the infamous Roswell crash. Perhaps when the beginnings of Project Serpio are taken into account, it explains the bizarre and shoddy way of the military would deal with the press release at the time. There is a strong argument that the mission retraction fiasco was a means of creating a distraction, a double bluff of sorts. Are taken into account, it explains the bizarre and shoddy way the military would deal with a press release at the time. There was a strong argument that mission retraction was a fiasco, was a means of creating a distraction, a double bluff of sorts. I could see basically making, basically saying they did do it, but then basically retracting it is basically doing a double bluff and basically try to blow it out of proportion and try to make anyone's and making that anyone talking anything else look making that it look like it's just something like that. Sounds interesting, I have to say. The information on Project Serpio comes courtesy of an anonymous retired high-level employee of the United States government. He would send information to a UFO discussion group itself, headed by a former U.S. government employee. The real Roswell details. If the U.S. government allowed a certain version of events to enter the mainstream events they were publicly in opposition to, then that might imply that their reason was to create a buffer between the real details of the Roswell incident and what the public believed to be the real truth. According to the claims, 2 alien craft came crushing to Earth that evening over the desert outside of Roswell. The second craft, however, would lay undiscovered until sometime in 1949. The military would retrieve much more than just an alien craft, though. The wreckage of the first Roswell crash contained not only the crew members, but a surviving alien pilot. According to the anonymous source, the surviving extraterrestrial was hiding behind a rock after declining food from the military. It accepted and drank water before transferring it to Los Alamos. Including the surviving being, a total of 6 extraterrestrials would make the journey. The dead aliens would go into a recently developed deep freeze storage. Whether the aliens' decision to accept water is of any importance is unknown, but it does suggest, assuming the source's story is true, or the source is true, that the extraterrestrials, at least in this instance and only in part, share some biological and genetic makeup with ourselves and life on Earth. This creature would live for 5 years until the supervision of the United States military before its death in 1952. According to the whistleblower, however, the surviving alien would reveal a legion of information concerning their ships and their technology, so much so that the reverse engineering of it was possible. Even following the alien's death, this reverse engineering continued. Perhaps one of the most interesting of these reverse-engineered technological devices was a communication device, a device that would allow communication to the aliens, the Ebrians' home planet. This communication would result in an organized landing of a team of Ebrian beings. This would take place at a secret base in New Mexico in April 1964. We have written before of the apparent secret talks between President Eisenhower and various alien races in the 1950s. Whether then President Johnson was present at the meeting in 1964 is unclear. Reports simply state the representatives of the representatives. I'm just reading what I'm seeing here, folks, just telling you about what happened with the Serpio case and with the alien Roswell crash. The United States government conducting talks with Ebians. According to the source, a technological device of the Ebians allowed these talks to proceed in English. The Ebians wished to retrieve their fallen pilots. The U.S. military had kept these beings in biological storage following their studies of them. The Ebians would indeed take their dead crew more home. Take away the dead crew. More than that, though, the two sides agreed to a bizarre exchange program, a program that would see 12 American military members leave with Ebens on their return journey. A single Eben would remain with the Americans throughout the program. The mission. There we go. The top secret mission left Earth in 1965 on their way, or maybe I should say, throughout the program. The top secret mission left Earth in 1965 on their way to the planet Serpo in the Zeta Reticuli star. Incidentally, Serpo was the crew's name for the planet. The Ebens, referred to as Eben. 12 military members would take up the crew for the mission, 2 members each from the Navy and Army ranks, along with 8 members of the U.S. Air Force. According to the source, who would years later leak information of the mission, each of the 12 crew would have their identity erased from all records, both civilian and military. They literally ceased to exist overnight. Even after selection, the 12 crew would undergo 6 months of intensive, evasive, and secretive training. This would also include learning how to use the communication device so they would be in constant contact with Earth. The mission was to last 10 years, for which they would return to Earth. However, communication would prove to be difficult, with many technical difficulties arising. 5 years into the mission, Earth lost communication completely, fearing the entire unit dead or trapped somewhere in space. The mission was close to abandonment. Then, out of nowhere, communication would open, and the crew, at least the surviving members, returned to Earth in 1978. The video below is an interview with Bill Ryan. Right? The return. The return and findings of the 12 people that made the journey to Serpo, only 8 would return. 2 of the original members had died during the 13 years they had been away. Another 2 members had opted to stay at Serpo. The eventual top secret report runs to over 3,000 pages in length and contains remarkable details as far as most researchers are aware. No leaking of the actual part itself is taking place. All 8 of the returning crew members would enter strict quarantine for a year. While there, they informed their superiors of their experiences. The journey to Demon's home, some 39 light years away, had taken only 9 months. 2 moons flanked the planet, those whose day were the equivalent of 43 hours long. The heat of the planet would prove to take the most adapting to, and was bordering on extreme for human beings. The human crew finally settled in the planet's uppermost northern region, where the climate was better suited. The Ebens had bases on a nearby planet known as something, and it was otherwise barren and lifeless, and their celestial body in their system, Silus, providing mining for minerals key to their survival. While it contained basic life forms, they were not intelligent. The day life of Ebens. According to the anonymous source, the crew would speak of time being the key difference between humans and the Ebens. They didn't judge on account for time in the same way humans would. Their daily lives would revolve around the movement of the central sun. All of the Ebens' food came from large biodome-like structures, which they would grow and harvest themselves. They were their only intelligent life on the planet, and while other animal life forms did exist, the Ebens didn't at all associate with food. The Ebens themselves would most often live in small communities, relatively spread out from each other. While order very much existed within these communities, crime was not an issue, nor was money. Distribution centers existed in place of shops, with good and produce issued upon request. Not all aspects were different, however. The family unit, as we know, exists among the Ebens. The desire for entertainment, music, and team games. All 8 of the crew who returned from Serpo would suffer a lifetime of illness in the following years. This is thought to be due to exposure of radiation during space flight. Radiation was something that the Ebens apparently were immune from. According to the anonymous source, the last surviving members of the mission died in 2002. Died, huh? The video is a short interview with UFO researcher. So what should we make of it? So what do we make of such a bizarre and off-the-wall claims of Project Serpo? Have written before in our interaction between aliens and top-level persons of the world's governments, not to mention secret AI time travel experiments. These claims arrive with various levels of evidence, and many of them come from people who have held very high-level positions in governments or militaries. We have written, for example, Paul Heyer in his controversial but very clear claims several times before Dr. Stephen Greer is another who voices similar opinions regarding alien life. In Human Affairs, we recently spoke of the bizarre occurrence of the investigations at Skinwalker Ranch, another example of secret government research into unexplainable and at times otherworldly events. With these examples in mind, maybe the idea that such a secret mission or such a mission did happen is not as bizarre as it at first seems. With no surviving members of any documentation to back up the claims, however, most dismiss the claims of Project Serpo. Are they correct or to do so? While it might be best to keep the account of the back burner for now, it shouldn't be cast away completely. The claims of Secret Service programs, perhaps one of them might one day prove to be Project Serpo. Check out the video below looks pretty interesting, huh? Project Serpo. Basically an exchange program with aliens. Did we do it? Who knows? It does sound interesting that we found that after Roswell crash that this story, well, I guess it's not surprising. Well, what's this story came out of that? Of what happened then? And is it true? Who knows? Could all be true or not. But it is interesting, is it not, folks? Let me go over here now real quickly. Let's see. If you guys hit that like button, thank you. If you feel free, folks, leave with me a few chats because I'd love to hear from you guys. And having some fun here tonight. Yeah. We're looking at a few more stories and all that as well. Yeah. Serpo, where we basically sent guys out to outer space in an exchange program with aliens to basically learn about them. And well, did we actually go there? Maybe. What was with some of the things that happened, though? Could we really trust that their opinions of these aliens were somehow manipulated by the aliens? I mean, for all we know, they were mind controlled. Because they give a pretty good example. They give a good review of the aliens, at least. So maybe they are peaceful. I have my doubts, though, because they were all gray skins. I mean, this could, after all, be, just talk. Some guy made up and then made this story up. But it could be real. I have to say that. Now, let's go look at some more stories. Let's see. The 20th century panic attack, the result of the Roswell crash. The decade after Roswell, UFO crashes into recovery. Let's take a look at this. While most people are familiar with the Roswell crash in 1947, I'm reading this now, and are aware of a plethora of similar events that would follow throughout the 1950s. Although there are examples of reports of such incidents throughout the years, it would appear that a particularly high number of otherworldly crafts crashed in a relatively similar geographic location of the American Midwest following the end of going through the 50s. We have written, for example, of the Aztec incident in 1948, a disc-shaped craft would scream over the skies of New Mexico before embedding itself in the sand of the Aztec desert. Not only did the U.S. military recover the craft, they also took hold of 16 alien bodies. Around 6 months previously, not October 1947, and only 3 months after Roswell, was the Paradise Valley thing. Again, this crash was just north of Phoenix, Arizona, would result in the recovery of both the craft and the alien crew. Even as far as back as 1947, there were albeit more sporadic reports of such cosmic crash events. Charlotte Mann, for example, would make claims that her grandfather performing the last rites upon an alien creature following a similar episode in Missouri. As the 40s bowed out to the 50s, these bizarre crashes and recovery events would just continue. Would just keep happening. Incident in Laredo, Texas, 1948. The events of the Laredo, Texas of the evening of July 1948 were not only the result of malfunctioning alien craft, but one where heavily armed U.S. military fighter planes actively pursued the silver disc until its sudden crash into the ground. The disc was around 90 feet across and made from silver metallic material that gleamed brilliantly. The U.S. military would waste little time in sealing off the area from the outside world. A specially prepared retrieval team from the military base in San Antonio arrived within hours of the incident. They would examine the remains of the wreckage, having placed pieces of it loaded into military trucks for further examination. Perhaps the most startling of all, claims of the recovery of badly burned body of a non-human entity from the site, although there was talk of the incident at a local level for years. It wasn't until the late 1970s that the encounter would be brought into the open. UFO researcher Leonard would receive inside information from military sources. Further investigation revealed more eyewitnesses. Details suggest the incident was genuine. Whether it is a detail of note or mere coincidence, the Laredo episode happened on the first anniversary of the now famous Roswell thing. The video below there. A well-kept thing. Huh? Stingfield would write about his research on the Laredo incident in several self-published papers and in the UFO publications. Many of those would follow up the case, resulting in several books of the little-known crash in the desert on the outskirts of the small Texas town. Till just, however, the public remained unaware of the events outside of legend. Tall talk of the locals. A similar incident occurred in Del Rio. A mere 3 hours driving time from Laredo in 1955, the account came into the public domain thanks to a retired colonel in the U.S. Air Force, Robert B. Willingham was not only present on the night the UFO came crushing down, he gave chase to it while on a simulated bombing mission, a consequence of the Cold War environment. Willingham, along with the other members of the squadron, would see a bright orb of light racing across the skies. He would estimate it to be moving around 2,000 miles per hour. The object would perform precise and immaculate turns in the air, unlike any special aircraft at the time. Before finally heading towards Del Rio, Willingham received orders to pursue the strange object. He did so and witnessed the metallic orb beginning to woobie and fly erratically. He continued to watch as the crash crashed into the bank, the Rio Grande River, skidding forward and eventually coming to a stop against a small hill. Willingham also noted that the craft was shining silver as he watched it lay motionless in the land below. On closer inspection, he found a part of the craft was ruptured, exposing its contents. He claimed to have seen 3 non-human enemies, 2 of whom were severely injured. The U.S. military would confiscate the remains of both the craft and the alien bodies. The Kingman Incident, 1953. Kingman Incident, 1953. According to UFO researcher and author Preston Dennett, a crash of an extraterrestrial vehicle took place on the evening of 1st May 1953, just short of 10 miles from Kingman Airport in Arizona. Once the area was sealed off by military authorities, the wreckage was discreetly but quickly removed from the area. Dense sources vary on what the wreckage was destined for. Some would state it would to Area 51 in nearby Nevada. Others, however, would firmly state that the wreckage would travel to a considerable ways east to Wade-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. It isn't beyond the realm of possibility that both sets of sources are correct. According to the vast amounts of testimony and leaked information, the U.S. military has units and locations, both bases from such recovery. Once upon the wreckage was safer and in the military's possession, they would quickly locate and hire just about short of 40 scientists. Sounds good, huh, folks? Very good. By the way, I think I'll put my link to my Indiegogo on my Indiegogo up for you guys to peruse if you want to check out Scumdogs. When you do that, you'll take you to the pre-launch page for you to sign up for it. Let me put that in the chat. Paste. Go check out my graphic novel you want, folks. Let's get back to what we're doing. According to researcher Daniel Princeton, a similar crash, a terrestrial vehicle crash, took place in the evening of May 1953, just short of 10 miles from the Kingman Airport. Once the area was sealed off by military authorities, the wreckage was discreetly but quickly removed. Very interesting. Right. Let's see. Then its sources vary on whether the wreckage was destined for. Some would state it went to Area 51 in nearby Nevada. Others, however, would firmly state that the wreckage would travel to a considerable ways east to Wade-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. It isn't beyond the realm of possibility that both sets of sources are correct. According to a vast amount of testimony and leaked information, military has units and locations of both base at both bases for such recovery. Once the wreckage was safely in the military's possession, they would quickly locate and hire just short of 40 scientists. Each of was an expert in their field. Each would sign strict secrecy papers. Further still, these scientists would travel to their place of work in complete ignorance of their location. Some sources state that they traveled on windowless buses, made the journey almost complete darkness. One of these scientists, Arthur Stenzel, would go on record that they spoke with Dennett. According to the researcher, the craft was stuck at the ground at 1,200 miles per hour, but suffered little to no damage. Stenzel would further describe the craft as a top drop shape and definitely not human-made. And their dense sources claimed to have seen the dead body of a 4-foot human-like creature in a silver metallic suit. A further source claimed at least 2 bodies were present in the inside of the craft. Both are dead. The video below looks at the Kirk Kingman incident. Unmanned alien craft crashes in Utah in 1958. Another case of a UFO crash, unmanned alien crash, and recovery would come to light and leaked files to Project Aquarius, made public by the Disclosure Project, going to report a UFO crashed in the open plains of Utah sometime in 1958. Further recovery from the team was successful in securing all the wreckage of the craft, although there was no sign of bodies in the ruins. The retrieval unit would state it to be of alien origin. There is no mention of whether the pilot had simply let the crash or if the disc was an unmanned vehicle. Perhaps this intentional detail left out of absolute secrecy might be possible. For example, that the pilot was alive upon recovery. If so, then did it escape at the wilderness of the Utah desert, or did the U.S. military apprehend it? Further details on the analysis of the study of the craft by the best aerospace scientists available would show them to be more in awe than understanding, despite the vast amounts of technical data retrieved. The mechanics and workings of the technological marvel has so far eluded them. Although UFO science certainly don't stop following the incident, it does appear to be one of the last of the 50s wave of crash cases on record, at least in this region of the United States. What the connections are? What are connections? There are some suggestions that the number of apparent crashes UFOs in the area of the United States could go down to magnetic and gravitational pools. Written before the revelations of Bob Lazar, a man who claims to have worked with alien technology in top secret U.S. military installations. He would also speak of such craft using gravity and then producing a gravity field of their own for space travel. However, this becomes a lot more difficult on Earth due to a strong gravitational pull of the planet. The device where their systems and electrical storms around the globe also work have this technology. Although this will be very true and could explain the reason for such crashes. The desert of the Midwest of the United States, it doesn't explain why such regular crashes suddenly cease. Where these crafts intentionally brought down in this way, and if so, how did the military know to do so? Did these visitors just stop heading over this location or attracted them in the first place? Meet the apparent meaning between President Ahern versus alien races. Versus for sharing connection to these strange events. Might these meetings and apparent crash lanes have been some kind of testing of technology, or even the perfect utilization of a portal for interstellar travel? Perhaps part of the alleged comic deal? Well, these, like the reports themselves, are all outlandish suggestions. The truth is likely to be at least equally outlandish, at least to those not familiar with such events. For now, all UFO researchers can do is place together suggestions in hope of finding a fuller picture. Okay. That sounds interesting, huh? The decade after Roswell, a wave of UFO crashes. Go over here. Let's go over here. It's 37 minutes in. Have you guys hit that like button for me? Oh, it looks like you have. Thank you. If you feel free to hit that like button for me, folks, as well as please go share this video on social media. In fact, let's go over and look at a few Indiegogo's and stuff. Have some fun. Let me also do this. All right. Let's see. There's Nightmare Theater. Let's see. Nightmare Theater is a 272-page graphic novel. Yeah, 270 Nightmare Theater, paperback anthology collecting horror stories and stuff like that. Looks pretty good. You can back this book for $30 to get it. That's also good.
Hello, fiends, fellow frighteners. Shelley Poe-Stoker here, the immortal, literary monstrous, and horror film aficionado. Welcome to Nightmare Theater.
Nightmares come in many forms. A murderer's row of creatures crawl. breaking curfew and shattering norms. Their frightening tales for one and all. Cinematic blood flows. Oh, hi. I am David Schrader.
And I'm Creepy Clay Adams, and together we funded and fulfilled 10 projects on the platform. So we're scary good at this.
There are simply too many amazing creators involved in this project to name them all here. But rest assured, we brought together some of the best in indie comics. They give you this monster-sized volume of cinema-inspired horror.
Hey Dave, we should show more of the book. Can you do that creepy Vincent Pricey thing again?
Cinematic blood flows forth. Ghouls and slashers fill the pages. West, east, south, and north, as every monster fully rages. Legends of terror to stalk the reader. For every ghost, killer, and brain eater. To each maniac, demon, and bleeder, we bring the evil of Nightmare Theater.
Woo! Scary stuff indeed. Join us on this dark journey into fear and phantasmagoria.
All right. That was fun, folks. It was Nightmare Theater. Looks like a pretty good book. You can back it for $30. It's also good. Ooh. For a print copy of the book and stuff like that. That's good. Let's go look at some more stuff. Some more fun. This way. The Roots. There's Roots Telly's War. Down here. There's Script. And take a look at that. There's also Starblade. There's First Man. Look at that. Let's see. There's Southern Wolf Clan. Let's take a look at that now. You guys hit that like button for me. If you've not hit that like button for me yet, folks, please hit it, will you? It helps me fight the algorithm, as well as please go share this video on social media. All right. Let's see. What's this about? John Sovereign is an intern for Neocron, the largest, most successful genetic engineering company in the world. But when he witnesses a gruesome event, he'll discover a secret world where shape-shifting heroes battle experimental monstrosities, interdimensional demons, and ancient gods for the fate of humanity. Will he fall to these newly discovered evils, or will he embrace the beast within and become the hero he was destined to be? Not bad. Looks pretty good. You can back this book for $25. You have a choice of 3 different covers. Yeah, the artwork in this book looks beautiful. So you have 3 different covers. You have the Alpha cover, a variant cover, graphic novel. The Alpha variant graphic novel, cover and stuff. It has a 6x9 print. It also comes with a poster. Yes, the first is 5 variant cover. It also comes with a print and stuff like that, and it also has some cards. But you also get the Bad Moon Rising variant cover, which is looks pretty good. It has John Sovereign himself on it. That's pretty good. You can back this book for $25. You have a variety of different perks you can back. Now let's look at this trailer. All right, that was Sovereign Wolf Clan. Looks pretty good. And you back it up on Indiegogo. Now let's get back and look at some more Alien crashes, huh? The decade after Roswell recovery, the Zilith incident and connections to Mexico's Roswell. Largely unknown in 1983, Wells UFO crash Europe's Roswell. All right, let's take a look at this. Too bad. Like this, stuff like sometimes referred to as the Europe's Roswell, an alien crash in this small village of Lynn near Azimuth at Wells, January 1983. Like that. Maybe I should also do this and stuff. Let's see. Should I show you it? It's just a bunch of words and text here. I don't want to get a copyright strike if that brings that down upon me. And stuff like that. Sometimes referred to as Europe's Roswell, an alleged crash in a small village near Azimuth in Wales in January 1983 is perhaps not as well known as we might imagine, especially as it boasts apparent proof of the incident and recovered material claimed to be from the otherworldly craft. Furthermore, according to the main witnesses, a local farmer, a discreet and professional cleanup operation took place in this land where the material was discovered. Despite the apparent seismic shifted public perception that such an event would result in only one newspaper would cover the story, and even then that coverage would dry up almost instantly. Was this a purposeful decision due to an outside influence, similar to other claims we have examined before? Whatever the truth behind the incident, the recovered material remains in the possession. All right. Let's see this. Maybe I should let you see it in case you want to see this. Was this a purposeful decision? Whatever the truth behind the incident, the recovered material remains in the possession of a secure location. Researcher and investigator Gary Rowe might it one day prove to be a vital piece of evidence in getting to the bottom of the UFO and alien question. And will the full truth of what did happen in the small village of Wells that cold January ever reached the public arena? Is the alleged crash near Abbey's-Worth? Is it real? The alleged crash actually happened? Maybe. A very strange morning, like something out of a James Bond movie. One cold morning, January 1983, farmer Errol Evans discovered several large, crumpled pieces of foil and metal on his land. Upon closer inspection, and here's a picture of what he might have seen, part of the alleged UFO wreckage. And so the material appeared to be the exterior of a small plane or helicopter. Evans would immediately contact the police, stating he suspected an aircraft had come down in one of the fields. Furthermore, he would reason to himself the incident must have happened during the early hours, as the field was clear of such debris the night before. The Royal Air Force would send in an investigation team to speak with Evans. By this time, the farmer had made discoveries of metallic debris in total of 4 of his fields. That something strange had taken place was obvious. Parts of the debris had a bizarre green color to it. Well, yeah. As well as the honeycombed appearance. And here's what it looked like, apparently, maybe. Interestingly, the unit would inform Evans that none of their military vehicles were missing, and furthermore, their material, whatever it was, didn't appear to be from any aircraft that they were aware of. However, shortly after the initial Air Force response team, a second unit arrived, and this one was more aggressive, though. What's more, they contained both uniformed and non-uniformed officers, some of which would claim to be from the Ministry of Defense. A cordon was erected immediately around the fields containing the wreckage. Even temporary floodlights were set up so the team would work well through the night. They would systematically remove every single piece of the wreckage, which would range from large pieces that required 2 people to lift to the tiniest fragments. Evans would later describe the incident was like having something out of a James Bond movie. Regardless of the size, the unit retrieved and confiscated every piece, all that is, except for several small pieces which would come to light a little later. Several weeks later, the mod would release an official statement regarding the incident. They would claim once more that no military aircraft was missing, and that furthermore there was no military radar evidence of any other craft in the Abbey's-Worth region anywhere near the night in question. They would state that the material that they had analyzed was unidentified. There was, however, little information of any kind of follow-up investigation or what might happen to the recovered material. Perhaps suspiciously, only one newspaper would cover the incident, and only a one-off story. And at that, in the 23rd edition of the Express, a story under the headline, Strange stuff, huh? Although the minimal coverage ended before it began, it was enough to bring the attention of the cases to UFO researcher Gary Rowe from the video below. He would travel to the small village and to Evans's farm in order to speak with a witness directly with a small team of UFO investigators. They would search the fields, hoping to find a piece of missed wreckage so that they might do their own analysis. Amazingly, their efforts were rewarded as they found several pieces of apparently missed by the MOD unit. Before we move on, check out the video below, while the other review seems very interesting. The last minute or so are of interest to us here. From just before the 1 hour mark, they begin speaking of it and then examining the apparent wreckage from the UFO crash we are about to look at. I mean, here's what they were looking at. I'm not too sure. I don't want a copyright strike, so I'll just, this stuff as well. It's not normal, but that is what they told me to say. It's not normal, but that is what they told me to say. With the wreckage secured, Rowe would go about having samples sent for testing, as we might expect. As a result, were a little more inclusive than the military's findings. Inclusive, yeah. They too would fail to identify the material. However, they would claim it had very similar properties to delirium. The word inclusive, it basically has lost all meaning to me. A lightweight but strong material used in aircraft. Furthermore, the green-gray material was in fact a paint-like substance which remains unidentified. When Rowe looked to return to the farm and investigate further, however, even more suspicious activity was taking place. Evans would inform him that the area of trees he wished to investigate was off limits. It was now under the controls of the Forestry Commission. Perhaps even more bizarre, and as Rowe would point out, the organization themselves, why were they destroying trees and uprooting them when their whole reason for existing was to do the exact opposite and preserve them? They would respond that storm damage had caused them to take charge of the area and to clear it off limits. Even stranger, the soil itself is also replaced. Rowe would press the person on the phone as to the highly unusual activities of the Forestry Commission. The response was perhaps even more telling. The voice informed him that it was indeed most unusual. However, this is what he had been told to say. Shortly after this conversation, Rowe himself would receive a visit, a quietly sinister visit. Several mysterious men would visit Rowe following his discovery of materials in the woodland area near Evans' farm. They would insist that he hand over the recovered materials to them immediately. However, Rowe would inform them that the materials were with several different people at locations all around the country. Furthermore, and perhaps a testament to his expertise in UFO circles, Rowe would offer that their respective people also receive specific instructions. If anything was to happen to him, or indeed the wreckage now safe in a secure location, they were to immediately come forward with their piece of wreckage and information. With this, the men simply left and did not return. However, Rowe would claim that his post was obviously intercepted and searched through before arriving with him for some time following the visit. We should perhaps also mention the areas around Abbotsworth were of extensive underground systems. These stretch into the large portions of the area. They were in use mainly in the Second World War. Storage system for items of value. It certainly isn't beyond the realms of the imagination to think that these since abandoned tunnel systems and vaults, at least part of them, are now in the command of the military. Or might the rumors of an alien base in the region have more than truth in them than many may think? While we mentioned that Wales, especially along the coastline, is considered a UFO hotspot, we should also perhaps clarify that one of the most active towns is Abbotsworth. Of course, even with records. Absolute proof of these claims so far remains elusive. More to the flames of the UFO conspiracies along the Welsh coast. What should we make of the claims of the 1983 UFO crash in a small and otherwise nondescript village in North Wales? We have mentioned before that on several occasions, not least in our look at the Brownworth Mountains incidents, how part of the country appear to have attracted more than their fair share of UFO sightings and encounters. As outlandish as it may as many, even the UFO community, persistent rumors of an alien base, possibly with the knowledge of certain high-ranking military and share government officials being in operation somewhere on the West Coast. Might this incident also have a connection to those rumors? There's also no solid proof where the remains of the wreckage are. It is of opinion many researchers that they reside in a top-secret military base, possibly somewhere near Cardigan. Others believe the wreckage to be in Abbeysworth itself, possibly in the theoretical alien military base in the area. Whatever the truth of the matter, it would appear that something most definitely did come down to Earth in Evans Field, and most likely did somewhere in the early hours one January morning. And the pieces of Rose's position would certainly indicate that, whether it was an object, 1993, of extraterrestrial origin or a secret military experiment, is perhaps up for debate. Either outcome, though, would perhaps explain the increased number of UFO sightings in the region. All right, we looked at that. We looked at these UFO crashes. Very interesting, huh, folks? What has been happening? What is crash landing on Earth? I mean, it's very entertaining. I mean, why? Why do these spaceships keep landing on Earth? I mean, why do they want here, huh? What do aliens want to come to Earth for? It's all very interesting, very fun. Now, let me go off and show you the Indiegogo to my Indiegogo and stuff. Okay. Well, let me go off and show you the pre-line, my Scumdogs trailer. All right, let's go over here. Let's take a look at this.
Bored without any great comic books to read, as if you're falling through the depths of space, then come read Scumdogs. It's one hell of a great comic book. You're just going to love it. And unlike the blue-haired land whales or the purple land whales, you won't get anything like agenda politics. You can hear it on the wind. Scumdogs, just a great comic, just barging down your door, just seeing all the little purple bastards running and screaming. That's Scumdogs. You'll see the amazing sights of people running past gigantic, bizarre pictures, bizarre happenings, and great stories that will make you just love the story. You'll get characters like Sloppy here, Hair Mail Doctor, Miss Breasty Melons, and you'll also get Murder Mouth, as well as the ultimate character, Death Mug. Yes, Death Mug, and you'll see him fight his arch enemy, Buick Starcode, who leads his team into space versus the Wild Rangers in epic battles against the Scumdogs. You'll get characters like Hair Metal Doctor fighting Beach Pounder in an epic battle with a blast tank along as well, firing off his missiles in an epic showdown that will leave you grasping and wanting more. That's Scumdogs. Go and back it on Indiegogo. You'll get 3 covers. You'll get this cover here that's just awesome, the 90s violent muscle cover. You'll get this one where basically a parody of of the characters just working at a burger joint. Okay. You also get 3 covers, as well as a cover with them just chasing down purple land whales. Okay, little purple bastards. But it's going to be awesome. Get back these 3 covers on Indiegogo. Back my comic book. You're just going to love it. That's Scumdogs. Come and get it on Indiegogo.
All right, folks. That was my trailer. I'm going to thank you all for joining me today. We had some fun, didn't we? Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad. Let me do this. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad for You. Okay, make sure you're still subscribed. But yeah, remember there is misspelled. It's THERE, so it's Read Comics They're Bad for You. Make sure you're still subscribed. Subscribed. Ooh, you didn't see it, did you? You have the idea and stuff like that. Maybe I should show off the artwork. You saw that. All right, let me show you off that trailer one more time. All right. Do this. All right, let me do this. So you see my trailer here, stuff like that. Here we go.
Bored without any great comic books to read, as if you're falling through the depths of space, then come read Scumdogs. It's one hell of a great comic book. You're just going to love it. And unlike the blue-haired land whales or the purple land whales, you won't get anything like agenda politics. You can hear it on the wind. Scumdogs. Just a great comic. Just barging down.
No, I think I actually did show you that, right? You did guys see it because I did have that right. And stuff. I was doing that and stuff like that. Either way, you did see my trailer, right, folks? I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure you guys did it. Is there any way for me to go back here and stuff like that? And then you do this over here, here. Yeah. You guys need to see. You guys didn't see my trailer, did you? Do this and show you my trailer, and this time you can go watch it. That was funny as hell. This time, watch my trailer, folks.
Forward, without any great comic books to read.
Let me make sure one more time. Yeah, it's up there. This should do it.
If you're falling through the depths of space, then come read Scumdogs. It's one hell of a great comic book. You're just going to love it. And unlike the blue-haired land whales or the purple land whales, you won't get anything like a jig of politics in it. You can hear it on the wind. Scumdogs. Just a great comic. Just barging down your door, sing all the little purple bastards running and screaming in terror. That's Scumdogs. You'll see the amazing sights of people running past gigantic, bizarre pictures, with bizarre happenings and great stories that'll make you just love the story. You'll get characters like Soppy here, Hair Mail Doctor, Miss Breasty Melons, and you'll also get Murder Mouth, as well as the ultimate character, Death Mug. Yes, Death Mug, and you'll see him fight his arch enemy, Buick Starcoon, who leads his team into space versus the Wild Rangers in epic battles against the Scumdogs. You'll get characters like Hair Mail Doctor fighting Beach Pounder in an epic battle with Blast Tank along as well, firing off his missiles in an epic showdown that will leave you grasping and wanting more. That's Scumdogs. Go and back it on Indiegogo. You'll get 3 covers. You'll get this cover here that's just awesome, the 90s violent muscle cover. You'll get this one where basically a parody of of the characters just working at a burger. Okay? You also get 3 covers, as well as a cover with them just chasing down purple land whales. Okay, little purple bastards. But it's going to be awesome. Get back these 3 covers on Indiegogo. Back my comic book. You're just going to love it. That's Scumdogs. Come and get it on Indiegogo.
All right, folks. Now, I'm going to thank you all for joining me today. We had a pretty good live stream. We had some fun. We looked at some mailing fresh sites. I'm going to ask you to please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics That Are Bad For You. That there is misspelled THERE. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that like button for me, folks, because it really helps me fight the algorithm, as well as please go and share this video on social media. Share it on Twitter. Well, also, leave some comments down below because I love to hear from you. Share this on social media. Share it on Twitter and Facebook, as well as please go over to Rumble, or should I say, please go over to Stitch Together Picks. It's a YouTube channel that deserves far more subscribers. It's hosted by a great host, and you're going to love his reviews of movies. Also, go over to Creepy Little Book and subscribe to him as well. Creepy Little Book is like the Art Bell radio show. He releases small videos talking about high strangeness, but he also does live streams every night. He live streams on weekdays at 12:30 a.m. and on weekends at 11 o'clock p.m. He talks about high strangeness, and watching his live streams are so much fun. Go and subscribe to Creepy Little Book, as well as go over to Twitch and subscribe to Robot Co-op. And also, please go over to Rumble and subscribe to my Rumble channel. It's under the name Comic Freak, as well as go over to BitChute and subscribe to my BitChute channel. It is also named Comic Freak. I upload all my videos to those 2 sites. I'm Chris Williams. Well, I'll be back again tomorrow around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, 8 or 10 or 11 for another live stream. So be sure to come back again then. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me.